Welcome to the Kaizorian experience. Over here, we're going to be talking about everything African. We're going to be having debates, discussions, entertainment, as well as learning about business, art, history, and everything in between. Cultural, tribalism, and everything. We're going to be out here debating with some really interesting stuff. So, like the video, share the video, and make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe. Subscribe for the best experience ever. This is the biggest channel on the Afrosphere. So come and join the team, become a Kaizorian, and join the Kaizorian Empire.
Universally exist within myself, within this premise, and I exist within this bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly like the blue in the sky. I'ma fly like bird in the sky. I'ma fly like bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly like bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly like bluebird in the sky. I'ma throw my bluebird in the sky. I'ma soar like bluebird in the sky. I'ma soar like bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly like bluebird in the sky. I'ma fight like bluebird in the sky. I'ma eat like bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. I'ma be bluebird in the sky. I'ma be free, bluebird in the sky. I'ma be free like bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. Back again like the second coming. Strumming my vocal cords like the hummingbird in the sky. Y'all can't deny this. Real rap lyrics, it's like I ain't got no rhyming through the sky limit. What is skin tone, shade of color, but a parallel form of frequency like a ringtone on your phone. Melanin expression tied up in the universe, feeling like God. Is it really us? Is it serious? Is it really wrong to be diverse? I'm a divergent, immerse myself like an ocean beneath this waves. Be a divergent, born to be different. Indigo child, wild like canary. Born to be a bluebird in the sky, flying high like a bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly high, bluebird in the sky. Yeah, bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly high, bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. Everybody scream bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly high, bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. Yeah, bluebird in the sky. Everybody, bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bone black, sweet like a berry. Flying high like a canary. Scary with my hoodie on. Hating on my vibe on the street that you'll be feeling my frequency in the song. But I know that I ain't never ever gonna be ever the same. But I know.
What's good, everyone? Dusties and gentlemen out there. Shout out to the chat and those who are going to watch the replay at some other point. Well, we're just going to go on my babble analyzing trigonometry, right? A channel that is more conservative, or rather liberals trying to be conservatives. Bunch of comedians, trying to make everyone laugh, and all sorts of good things, right? So, New World Order or tribal politics. Israel gets attacked by Hamas. The terror is real. Over there, over 700 people died so far, Israelis. Numbers keep going higher, right? It's already reached 1,000, etc., right? And Israel is not having it, right? Israel is saying, no, hell no, we won't go, right? We won't leave our nation that we created, made a very rich country, and we are not going to allow Hamas to come in and bring us the dust, literally, right? No desert dwellers will come and ruin our country. Yeah, so that's basically the background of what's happening. So yeah, I'm going to be watching a video that's going to be, we're going to be analyzing it, right? We're going to be noting, right? We must protect the Dwight women, 100%, 100%. Dwight women create Dwight children who create all the innovations, as we already know. So 100%. Dwight women must be protected. Ribadu says, hey guys, what's good, Ribadu? Big ups. Yes, long time. Shout out to you for coming through. We do appreciate it, right? So, yeah, don't worry. We'll start. Guys, the like button works, right? So as you come into the show, hit the like button, support the stream, support Black and African media platforms so that we can rise ourselves and stop saying that the BBC doesn't show the good things in Africa, right? Because that should be on us. And if Abby was here, he'll be like, Kaiser, you're Kenyan. You definitely sound constipated. Yeah, so Ribadu, yeah, shout out to you. Um, yeah, so the analysis will begin in probably a minute's time, just doing some initial time over here. So situation is, which side are you taking? Are you taking the side based on what you think is morally correct? Right? Because there's loads of different sides here, right? The Palestinians claim that they're the ancient people of that land, aka the Canaanites, right? If you read the Bible or any of the Judaic scriptures, right, like the Torah and the Tanakh, right, parts of it state that actually the land belonged to the Canaanites, right? The Canaanites were sons of Ham, right? The Israelites were apparently not Hamites, but they were actually a different type of people, Shem, right? They were Semites or Semites, right? Americans say Semites. So what happened is, right, of course, God gave that land to the Semites, specifically the Hebrews, specifically the Israelites of the Hebrew tribe, right? So what that means is that the land was taken from the Philistines, right? And notice, right, the current people of this time call themselves Palestinian. Hmm, are they the ancient Philistines? Or are they just some other Arab people that came in and settled? Well, I guess we'll be looking into that as more as other stuff. But anyways, without further ado, we will begin our analysis, and then we will go ahead and open up the panel and see what other people say. Do they agree with me? Do they agree with the lady that we're going to be analyzing? What's their thoughts? Are they Islamic, right? Do they believe in the Islamic caliphate? Do they believe that actually the land was actually always Philistinian land, not Israelites, right? The Israelites stole it by God's order, right? In the ancient times, then they got kicked out, right, by General Vespucius over there in 70 AD. Then it just became a whole lot of colonizations by Ottomans, the British, and all of that stuff. Well, we don't know. We don't know. That is what we're going to be trying to figure out in this stream. So, anyways, I'm sure you're tired of hearing me say nothing for the last 3 minutes. So, we will definitely go ahead and start the show.
Israel essentially is that as a compensation for the Holocaust, the Jews were given a piece of someone else's land in the Middle East.
Yeah, that is actually true. Yeah, it was actually at that time someone else's land in the Middle East, and yes, it was for the compensation of the Holocaust, so that it never happens again. The Zionists lobbied the British government, they lobbied the American government, right? Why? Because they had powerful people that could make a good argument, right? They had bankers, right? They had other powerful people, so they lobbied and told these governments, "Hey, we've experienced something terrible in Europe. We don't trust living here anymore. We want our own nation state." So the British said, "Hey, we'll give you Kenya. We'll give you Western Kenya. We'll give you Wangaland, right? That place is lush. It's green. You guys can start living there. You can have agricultural success. There's water there, right there, Lake Victoria, etc. So you would have no issues, right? You can just rename that country Israel." But that was during the sixth Zionist Congress. And the seventh Zionist Congress, the Zionists refused. They said, "No, we don't want to go to Kenya or Uganda. We would rather go into the original lands of our ancestors." Yes, it was Uganda too. James Corvus. At that time, Kenya and Uganda were actually one country, just giving it to people. There was no Kenya or Uganda yet during 1903 when it was proposed. There was just British East Africa. The territory is in what is known as modern day Kenya in the western region, which borders Uganda. At that time, that was more of a Ugandan protectorate at that area, right? The Wangas were actually Ugandan; they were never Kenyans, right? That's a recent thing. But yeah, 100% you're right. That's why there's a miscommunication there about Uganda or Kenya. These countries didn't exist at that time. They were both part of a protectorate, the British East Africa protectorate. They weren't even colonized yet, right? They were not colonized yet. They were protectorates.
Where they've settled, and now there is a battle over that piece of land because of that original sin, if you like, which is a viewpoint that, frankly, up until I started listening to some of you.
It's kind of interesting when people say these viewpoints, and until I did more research, I discovered this. I think everybody knows the history, right? Yeah, that's what people claim is the case, right? If you go back all the way, it's Philistinian land, right? So it really depends where you draw the line, right? On these sort of stuff. People draw it where it's relevant and convenient.
Your talks was unshakable in my
Really?
understanding. Yeah, absolutely. Because I don't know. I honestly don't know enough about
and that's the default narrative.
Yeah.
it. Yeah. So, in what way is that not the case, Melanie?
Every single thing that you just said is untrue.
Yep. Every single thing, apparently, right? Nothing there is true. It's interesting when the reason why I'm doing this video. I haven't seen this video, but I did notice something when I was doing my research for the kinds of videos to do. This is narrative babble. As you mentioned earlier, right? The comedian, the guy on the right, the slightly darker brother of the two comedians, he mentioned that he thought of a different narrative, right? Or Israel took someone else's land, aka Palestine, right, during 1940s, right, 1948, etc. And that's the narrative that he had known. Now he's learning another narrative. So instead of resolving the conflicting, let's say, narratives or information that he received, he just adopts a new narrative. He's like, oh, okay, you have a different narrative. Engage me in this narrative, and maybe now my mind will be blown, or now I know the real truth. When the reality is, it's just narrative on top of narrative. The facts are, as far as we know, it's historical facts, right? There was a place called ancient Philistine. There was a place that was courting Canaan, and that place is the same. People lived there. Who knows who those people are today? Then there was a kingdom called Israel and another kingdom called Judah in the same region of what we now call modern Israel, right? Israel was a separate kingdom from the kingdom of Judah, but it was the same people, right? It was Judean and Israelite people, right? Even the word Jew doesn't actually, historically speaking, refer to the whole 12 tribes of Israel. Jew refers to the two southern tribes of Israel, the tribe of Judah or Yahudah and the tribe of Benjamin, right? So if you understand all these things, yes, there was a kingdom called Israel in that time, in that region, right? During Jesus' time, there was a kingdom that was colonized by the ancient Romans, and it was called Israel. Well, I think at that point the kingdom got destroyed, but that's a whole separate issue.
Most of your conversations, man.
That'll make him happy for a change.
Obviously, it's a big subject, but the idea that the Jews had no connection to the land of Israel until a guilt-ridden West took them out as a remnant of the Holocaust and stuck them into someone else's country is the opposite of the truth.
So what is the truth?
The Jews are the only people for whom the land of Israel was ever their national kingdom.
Oh my goodness! Did you just hear that? Unless I might become nice and generous and let us slide, right? Maybe she means in that land mass, it was only the Jews who characterized that landmass into a unified kingdom. The so-called Palestinians or other groups living in that landmass never had a centralized kingdom. Perhaps that's what she's saying. I didn't hear that. I heard that the Jews are the only people that in that history had some centralized kingdom or something, which is insane, right? Oh, look at Egypt, right? Etc. But perhaps she's saying what I'm interpreting her to say. But let's go ahead. We'll see what she means later on. So far, I'm just hearing narrative from this woman, hearing much analysis.
Remnant of the Holocaust and stuck them into someone else's country is the opposite of the truth.
So what is the truth?
The Jews are the only people for whom the land of Israel was ever their national kingdom. Hundreds and hundreds of years before Islam was even invented and before the Arabs invaded. The Jews were the original nation upon which America and Britain.
Interesting. So she's decided to take the nation babble, right? So what that means is, right, she's redefined the goalpost. It's not about who was living there, which chiefdoms were there. Right now, it's about nation state. Now, if you use that argument, it's a very weak argument, actually, right? It's a very, very weak argument, right? It's a BS argument in more 100%. There's so many ways you can attack it, and you're just thinking, what exactly? So it's a modern day, exactly, right? So let's say, oh, Maasai's, right? Maasai land did not belong to the Maasai's because the Kikuyus are the first people to actually, settle and properly form a Kikuyu confederate and then have a centralized kingdom there, right? Does that make any sense? oh, the Native Americans, the one in this area, their land is not really their land; it's actually the Americans because the Americans came in and set up a nation state. It's like, okay, so I'm going to create an arbitrary line, right? In this case, the nation state, and then I'm going to say that the Jews are the only ones who ever had a nationalized kingdom. Very weak argument, very bad argument from different angles. It's kind of very interesting. It's goalpost. When a person makes a bad argument and then tries to defend it to death, you cannot trust that person. That's just narrative. As I mentioned from the beginning, this is what we're hearing here. This is just narratives. You will not hear facts. Fleetingly, you'll hear some. You will not hear arguments based on resolving anything. You'll just hear narratives. It's kind of interesting that the comedian, because I commended him before. I said, hey, the comedian is kind of high IQ. But anyway, if he's yeah, let's go. James Cover says, but people who are Muslim get lumped in with Arabs, even though they are not Arabs. They do the same thing with Egyptians, even though, okay, James Corvus, this is generally correct, but I'll also add to it, right? The issue is also there's a lot of Muslims who claim Arab, adopt Arabic as their national language, like the Egyptians, the Moroccans, the Libyans, for example, right? And even in countries within the Middle East, etc., who are not actually ethnically Arab people, but they've adopted the culture. Now they consider themselves Arabs. Even North Sudan, they call themselves Arabs, right? They have some Arabic DNA, but these are not Arabs, right? These are Africans, black Africans at that. But they have become Arabs because of culture. So I don't know specifically if you're referring to that, but I'm just saying it goes both ways, right? Some people claim it and it sticks. Uh, Jeanette says, now I know why tonight just stressed about African security, American and NATO. Israel can go anyone's country or do what they want and no one will stop them. Well, here's the thing, Jeanette, right? I think you should understand power. Why would America stop Israel when America and Israel are allies? I think that's what I know you just mentioned it there, right? You mentioned about NATO and all that stuff. So I know you know, right? But that's the thing. It's all about friendship, right? My mom is not going to support you because you claim I did something to you just because of truth and honesty. No, my mom will take my side if it comes to the end.
In a kind of mystical fashion in Britain, modelled themselves. Why do I say that? They were a nation because they were a people in a particular area of land which they governed according to laws they made and which they defended. Now, they were a nation for several hundred years under various kings, and then they were basically kicked out, and then they returned, then they kicked out again. And then that land of Israel was occupied by vast numbers of different civilizations. The Romans.
Yeah, so notice, right? So when she mentions something, she says that now the land was occupied. She uses different terminologies, right? So when different civilizations ruled Israel, that's an occupation. When it was the ancient Jews, as she claims, who ruled that land, well, that was them establishing civilization. It's interesting about how these things happen, right? You again, we're just using this as a marker to understand narratives, right? How narratives get portrayed, and you guys, like I said, support Black and African media, right? This is the kind of stuff that you guys talk about, right? Western media has a certain narrative against Africans, and this is an example of someone who has narrative, perhaps as a Zionist.
The Assyrians, the Arabs, various.
Ottoman Empire was also there. She should, brush up on her Israel history.
Various sorts of Muslims, Christians, Crusaders, and for a long period the Ottoman Turks, who were Muslim but not Arab. And then we get to the turn of the last century, and there grew up in Britain, mainly as a result of evangelical Christianity, a movement to return the Jews to their ancestral homeland. And these people were called Christian Zionists. And the kind of apogee of Christian Zionism in political terms was the Balfour Declaration in 1917. It was a cabinet which was dominated by Christian Zionists, and they believed that it was their duty.
When I was young and when I was Christian, I used to actually partially believe in this, right? So I guess I was a Christian Zionist, right? Now, who the Jews were, that's a separate discussion. But yeah, I did believe that, hey, if really believe in God, you believe in the Bible, right, as a living word of God, you also believe that these are God's special people. I remember learning through the Bible, and there's a lot of interesting stuff that could be credited to self-hate, right? Africans, especially, right, in African churches, and also evangelical Muzungu churches, right, or Igbo churches. There was a huge sentiment that there was a special group of people that God chose, and then there was everybody else. And in fact, there was even some sentiments that Africa was somewhat cursed. So it's kind of interesting how this might interplay, or rather does, with the African psyche, right? Because hearing that and believing it and not questioning it, or you know evolving and doing all sorts of stuff with it, might lead you to have a very interesting mental makeup, right? There was a lot of Zionist black Christians, black evangelical Zionist Christians, who believe so much in that Bible. They even believe that they were inferior, right? Because the whole Bible basically says, right, I'm talking about from Genesis to Revelations, that God made a special people. Everybody else is like a droplet of spittle. So when the Bible says something like that, the book that you love in, of course, you are gonna prefer certain people.
To help the Jews return to restore their ancient homeland. Long story short, as you will know, after the First World War, the entire Middle East was carved up between Britain and France, which, in itself was a questionable activity. And they created
Makes for nice straight lines on the map, though, doesn't it?
well, yes, slightly more complicated than straight lines. But anyway, so, some of these countries that they created, you can say that's very questionable. But basically, the precursor of the United Nations, which was then the League of Nations, in the 1920s, decided that as a matter of international treaty obligation, Britain would be given custodianship of what was then called Palestine, a name given to it insultingly by the Romans in order to erase its Jewish identity. The British would be given custodianship of Palestine, called the Mandate, under which Britain would be under a binding treaty obligation to return the Jews to their ancestral homeland, to recreate it. Now, what was Palestine at the time? Well, a bit of it, a very large chunk of it, was promptly given away to the Arabs by Winston Churchill to become Transjordan, which is now Jordan. So what did that leave as the territory within which Britain had a binding duty undertaken by the world body of the time to return the Jews as a matter of historic right? What was that territory? It is what is now Israel, what is called the West Bank, and Gaza. That is a territory to which the Jews alone were given the right to return, because they alone had ruled it. Terms which have never been abrogated, even though the League of Nations is no more.
Yeah, so calling up a failed group that didn't do anything, has no jurisdiction. Okay, fair enough. How Europeans can just make up stories to change history and everyone believes them. The Middle East countries was made up by Britain Empire and France. All these fake countries England created. Yeah. In terms of countries, there were very few nation states. Yes, they were. The current modern assemblies of these nations were created and carved out by Britain. Yes, that is correct. Very, very correct.
Gave rise to the United Nations, but the United Nations took on, in its charter, it took on all the obligations of its predecessor unless they were specifically abrogated. Those terms have never been abrogated. So what then happened was, although the Arabs at the time, around 1917, 1918...
Yeah, this is not true at all, right? League of Nations was a different organization. United Nations was a different organization. They shared spiritual blah, 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 but no, that's not true at all. They didn't just take on everything and let's state it. No, they simply functioned how they wanted to function, right? So this is, again, narratives.
King Faisal, notably, and one or two others, they said, we welcome back the Jews to their ancestral homeland. They used this term because it was in their own religion. They knew this was a Jewish homeland. And then a lot of stuff happened. Basically, the British, having undertaken in the first place this duty to settle the Jews in their ancestral homeland, the British colonial office at the time and the colonial administrators who were put into Palestine to administer this mandate did everything they could to stop it. And they, among other things, brought in an Islamic firebrand. This was at the time when Islamism, as we know it, political Islam, was growing. It was sort of invented after the First World War. And the British brought in a particular Islamic firebrand called Haj Amin al-Husseini as the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem. And he was brought in to incite revolt, and he did. There were then pogroms after pogroms after pogroms of the returning Jews. The thing then blew up into a sort of three-sided war, Jews and Arabs and British, all basically at various times all fighting each other. Scroll on, the British threw in the towel, gave it over to the United Nations. The United Nations, Britain by this time had reneged on its obligation.
Notice again, like I said, right? Notice the narrativisms, right? She's created a storyline. Apparently, Britain has this moral order to perform and to comply with from this defunct League of Nations thing that didn't go anywhere, right? Because it failed. So they rebranded and, created something different. And she keeps bringing up this moral obligation that Britain apparently had, right, during this time. I find it's very interesting how she's throwing narratives, right? You guys call it propaganda. For me, I'm just seeing someone who thinks along narrative lines. It's the kinds of people, obviously, you can't trust, right? But generally speaking, there's nothing wrong with Western media if you already understand how to discern things, right? Because you can discern between, because here's the thing, right? Most of you guys are like, oh, Western media lies and CNN is trash. Well, not really. CNN will give you the facts, right? You'll see a bomb. The bomb probably came from the people they said the bomb came from. You just don't listen to all the analysis of, well, what really went on, right? The narrative stuff, you just wash that out of your head. So at the end of the day, you don't have to not listen to any kind of media, because here's the thing, right? If you're the kind of person to say, oh, Western media is bad, and you're going to listen to some African media, you're going to find out that they're biased in certain ways. It means you won't have the true perspective, the actual truth in the matter and the case. Now, if that's what you want, you just want to listen to people who agree with you, and that's a whole separate discussion and angles and elements.
To settle the Jews in the land, Britain had decided the only way to solve this was to give a portion of this land to the Arabs in order to shut them up and stop them from fighting. And in accordance with that, the British closed the gates of Palestine at the time when the Jews were starting to be exterminated in Europe. That's what happened. And then the United Nations took over, the war finished, the United Nations took over. United Nations said, just like Britain had said, right, two-state solution, one for Jews, one for the Arabs. And just as with every occasion since then, the Jews said, what? You're going to take this away from us? Fine. Give us anything, because we're desperate. And the Arabs said, what? Jews? Here? Never. And
okay, so she is saying the truth now. The Arabs did actually, reject the two-state solution several times, right? It was more than once. So there is definitely truth in what she's saying now, right? And this is the issue. That's why I mentioned about narratives, right? Sometimes they will say the truth, but a lot of the times they'll be hiding behind euphemisms and other statements where they're trying to push an agenda. Yes, the Arabs did reject it. Now, there's many reasons why they rejected it. They're not so relevant. Most likely reason is, well, why would they give up half of their land or part of their land, right? And I think that the state solution was like 33% of the population at that time was Jews, and they were being given like 56% of the country or something like that, right? Just don't take my numbers seriously. Just know that the Jews were given a lot of land and the population was smaller at that specific time. The Arabs denied it and they said, no, why would we take this? And also, if you read the Quran, right, because here's a thing where the Muslims will come in and lie to us, right? The Quran says if you see a Jew, kill it where it stands. I can read it if you want, right? So it's not as if Arabs have liked Jews at any one time. Arabs don't like Jews, right? Arabs have always hated Jews. Whether it's justified or not, I really don't care. That's not what I'm trying to read here, right? I'm just saying the reality is the Quran uh, actually says, I'm not talking about the hadith, I'm talking about the Quran. It says a lot of violence towards Jews, right? Slay the Jew wherever you find it. In fact, let me put it up because the Muslims are going to come in and they're going to be like, Kaiser is a liar, right? Dr. K lies. Right. I want to put it up in the Quran saying this, all right? Tasfir Surah and Nisa, right? That's just, one Quranic quote, right? That's the accusation of or something. But let me find something a little bit, you know, easier over there, right? Because, yeah, we don't want to cope.
They invaded or they went to war against the Jewish homeland. There was what's called the War of Independence, which amazingly the Jews won against all the odds. Subsequently, there have been, I've forgotten how many, 2, 3, 4 offers of a state of Palestine to the Arabs, which have been made by Israel. At every occasion, the Arabs have refused and have gone to war or have stepped up terrorist activity against Israelis.
Melanie, before we go any further into that part of it, I just want to come back to this homeland idea, this idea that many, many centuries ago, if we strip away their identities and we just go many, many moons ago, a certain group of people had a kingdom in this area. And after that, there have been 10 civilizations or 15 civilizations that have come and lived in this land. And now, for some reason, it's kind of like me, isn't it a bit like me going, well, I used to, I grew up in this flat in Moscow. And now I want to be resettled there.
Yeah.
And all the neighbors have agreed to kick out that guy who lives there now and put me in that flat instead. Is it not a bit like that?
Well, no, it's not like that. First of all, the Jews never left the land. They were always coming back to it, even under occupation. There was always a Jewish presence in the land.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's like the modern equivalent would be like talk about like Native Americans or something. Yeah, they weren't kicked out, but they were almost removed from existence because because of obviously what happened to them, right, with the blankets and all the good stuff. Yep. she's very silly, like very, very silly. Black Muslims are more brainwashed than Black Christians. Well, Jeanette, you might be right. I agree with you, generally speaking. Right, I'll open up the chat once I've done my presentation so that people can come and add their perspectives, right? From both sides, from one man's side, from Kaisorian experience side, etc. We just want to go look through this video first, and then we'll see what other people think as well. But yes, I think both Islamics and Christians are brainwashed, Black ones, right? Definitely. Yeah, Muslims are a bit more brainwashed, definitely, but the Christian, hardcore evangelical Christian ones, I think are just as bad. The struggle for a nationhood is a struggle. It is not a right. Yeah, exactly, Ike. Sorry, I think that's probably the highest IQ comment I've seen in a while. It's a struggle. Either you're going to win or you're going to lose, right? The Palestinians are obviously losing by a huge amount. They're not going to win. Israel has already won. I've shown how Israel slash Palestine used to look and how it looks today. The Israelis have won, right? This is not even a debate. It's not a right. It's a struggle. Either you're going to win, you're going to lose. You take deals that benefit you or not.
And from the mid-19th century onwards, there was a Jewish majority in Jerusalem. That's the first thing. The second thing was that the land...
Yeah, I love this woman though, right? She's kind of crazy. Now she's saying there was a Jewish majority in Jerusalem. So you you take very specific, let's say historical facts. Let's assume they're facts, right? And then you pass it through a specific inference point. So now it's not that the Jews were the majority in Israel or that landmass, it's in Jerusalem. Interesting, right? Like I said, guys, I'm just teaching about narratives. Right? This is how a person that speaks in narrative speaks, right? They hide the greater truth. They give you this other dark alleyway infighting, and you get lost.
And at the time of the Mandate was very sparsely populated. The people who were there were mainly nomadic Arabs, but they didn't have an identity. They considered themselves to be part of Syria, which was created, or Bedouin. There was no such thing as Palestinians. Palestinians were the Jews.
But there were people who lived there.
There were people who lived there, yes.
Right.
And then because the Jews started coming back.
Yep. So now apparently there is no Palestinians, right? It's always been Jews. Sis, stop the cap. That land has been occupied by several people: the Arabs, Muslims, the Arab Christians, the Arab Jews, etc. And which Jews are you even referring to? Is it the Jews from Europe? Definitely not the Jews from Europe, right? It was maybe perhaps the Sephardic ones, the ones from Egypt, Morocco. Exactly, right? I'm just bro. Palestine was occupied by several different groups. There were black people there. There were Cushites there. There were Arab Muslims, Arab Jews. There were all sorts of people. They definitely want Ashkenaz. Definitely not them, right? Definitely not them. Anyways, like I said, I love to see between the narratives.
Arabs and others started pouring in from neighboring Arab lands. And the British then let them come in, even though they were, many of them, illegal immigrants. But they let them come in because they wanted to stop a Jewish homeland. So it's not a question.
Really? Arabs flooded in because they wanted to stop a Jewish homeland. No, they flooded in because that country, like I mentioned, right, Jordan, old Palestine was doing relatively okay at that time, right? The British were building stuff. They were coming in, the refugees, as you claim, because they were just moving somewhere. Like narratives, man. A Black Heart Man says, imagine if Black Hebrew Israelites had Israel. Lol, they would have been overrun. And yeah, I mean, the Black Hebrew Israelites, Mizrahi Jews who are there and some Sephardic, yep, but definitely not Ashkenaz. Exactly, right? It was Mizrahi, right? People from Egypt, etc. They were there, and also Sephardic, right? People from Morocco and Spain and Portugal and stuff, right? They were there, right? They have historic lands, right? These are the people that occupied during the Ottoman Empire, right? These people were from countries which were taken over them, right? Turkey, etc. So yeah, very, very interesting. Guys, where does Horners who bragging about Arabs being stronger and better than Africans, but they can't save Palestine from at least African save Zimbabwe, South Africa, and no. Look, Arabs are probably dusty. So anyone who says, and also shout out you dusties out there, send some super chats, support Black and African media. DG says, Kazoran, if small accepted Uganda, well, DG, it was not Uganda, right? It was Kenya, but anyways, they would be saying now there were no Uganda there. It was actually Wangaland, Dwale. No, forget the Buganda land. It was Wangaland specifically that they wanted to take. So no, that would not have. They would have rephrased themselves as we've always occupied these lands. Then they would say the Lemba. There was a Lemba Jews. The Jews from Zimbabwe. They built the great. They actually were Lembas in Kenya, right? As they moved down. So yeah, the Lembas are the ones who built this, right? It's interesting, just narratives.
Question of kicking people out. It's not a question of people who had some sort of mystical attachment to some country. You're talking about the Jewish people who have been persecuted in virtually every country in which they've settled. No country ever wanted them, apart from India and China, which have never had a problem with their Jewish populations. But in Europe, no way. Nobody wanted them. And it was in respect of that, as well as the fact that they were the original nation and have always wanted to go back, that they were considered to have the right to go back. So
is this kind of perpetual persecution what I'm just trying to get this logically clear,
perpetual persecution
of Jews in Europe.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and shout out to the comedian. He did not lose my respect because the way the video started, uh, gave an impression. Right, it was out of context, of course, that he was going to change his mind and think, "Oh, okay, now I have a new perspective, narrative." No, he's actually been calm. He's asking the right questions, um, as a comedian should, and he doesn't seem like he's bought the narrative stuff from her. Probably too expensive.
Is that what uniquely in the history of humanity gives Jews the right to resettle a land in which they didn't have that much of a presence
No, it was their
centuries?
country.
But a long time ago.
Oh, okay. So why do people think that if they think that it was the Palestinians' country a long time ago, that means that they should have it?
But they were living there in the 19th century.
But they weren't. There was no such thing as the Palestinians. There was no such thing as the Palestinian people. There was no Palestinian people until it was invented in the mid-1960s.
Yeah. Guys. Okay, I see. So her argument is, and shout out, guys. The panel is open. If you want to join, click the link. Right, I've done my main part of my presentation. So Kenyans don't exist, right? Because the country that was created by the British Empire called Kenya only existed in 19, whenever Kenya became let's just say 1900, since it became a protectorate within that time period. So Kenyans never existed. There were no people who have the culture and tribes and languages there because it was created in 1900s. This is very backwards logic. I'm not gonna lie, right? This is very backwards stuff that I'm hearing here, guys. Really backwards. It's really backwards. And because Israel was the only one in that land that had a centralized kingdom and nation, now those people existed. Interesting, right? And even then, right, if you use that argument, there was no Israel nation. The Israel nation was for the northern kingdom. That wasn't for the so-called Jews. The Jews has a separate kingdom called Judah. It's kind of interesting, right? Duale says, Kaizo, quick advice, don't be deep. They will stop the stream like they did your Afrodamus tonight. Yeah, okay. Shout out to you. But over here on the Kaiserine Empire, we are not a bunch of bitch ass niggas. Anyways, what's good, James?
It was good, man. Hey, so I wanted to refer back to what I said earlier because you only read like that bottom part because with like the whole like the Palestinians are descending like the Israels and everything. Well, no, it was but Muslims got lumped in with Arabs. My whole thing is that when you look at these people, right, at least in the ancient world, like Canaanites and Israelites, they're the same people. It's just that the Israelites are just saying that they got an eponymous ancestor that comes from somewhere else, right? So they're all the same people. And the thing is that when the Babylonian Empire or the Neo-Assyrians or whoever destroyed the kingdom of Israel in the north, they took those people and those people became lost. Because I brought up the Hebrew Israelites over here, right? And they talk about the 12 tribes, but they saying that they're lost, but it don't make no damn sense because traditionally it's 10 lost tribes because they don't know where those ones went. When they did the archaeology in that area where Israel was, those people were still there. Those Jewish people, those Israelites were still there. I think it was the Persian Empire. When the Persians came in, they only took the top class people and brought them over to the Persian Empire. That's what happened. They left all the dusties in Israel. It's just that they didn't have a kingdom no more. That was it. It's just that Judah still had his kingdom. That was the only thing. So they didn't really go nowhere. They didn't disappear. And over the centuries, these people gradually either converted to Christianity or they converted to Islam, or they just stayed Jewish. But all these people that's over there, these Palestinians are still descendant of the same people who were there for millennia. So they're not like an Arab force that came in and displaced all the original Canaanites. Those are still the Canaanites there. That's the issue. And you're right. It's a narrative that she's pushing, talking about that these people came in and displaced a whole bunch of Jewish people, but that area was never at any time in history fully Israelite at all. You also had the Moabite kingdom there. You also had the Edomite kingdom there. these places was never wholly Israelite. It was just a culture amongst many other Canaanites. But they want you to believe that it was all Israel all the damn time.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Actually, they were always fighting other kingdoms within the same landmass.
Mhm.
Right? Like, for example, even during the time with the Philistines, right? They were fighting literally in the same landmass as you said, all that time. It's interesting because the only way people can push these narratives is, well, first of all, do they have connections with media platforms, right? Like this is a media platform. So, hey, if you know me, you can push certain narratives, right? If you pay me, for example. So I'm sure, hey, they get, some people get certain spaces in certain media to promote their propaganda. It's what I find interesting here is, why do they keep trying this slave morality stuff? Just say, hey, look, we were there. These other people here also claim they were there. We definitely want our land. We'll take it. We have it. We'll defend it. Just make it just based on, hey, it is what it is. We were there and we do want the land. Why don't they just say something straightforward? Why do this whole tap dancing, lying, pretending, and being disingenuous? Because for someone like me who
I
sees
guess
through that,
because everybody assumes Jewish people to be untrustworthy. That's a stereotype
oh,
for them.
okay.
So I guess they kind of dance around the subject because obviously we already know what it is, but historically, I guess it's ingrained in them to be like, you know, to kind of tiptoe around certain things because they would just get killed for any reason. So
Yeah,
I think
that's true. Actually.
that's just a thing in their culture, that why they do that. But yeah, it's obviously to see the whole Zionist thing, them expanding into the territory. This is what this is about. They agreed not to go beyond certain points, but since they believe the whole land belongs to them, they're just going in and just claiming it and kicking people out their homes. Me personally, they can blow each other to smithereens to
Yeah, I
oblivion.
don't. I don't. Go
I
ahead.
mean, I'm not gonna say that. I ain't gonna say it. All right, my bad. I ain't gonna say all that. It just,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I ain't gonna say that. I ain't gonna say that. I take that back. It's just that, like, at least a lot of people that I'm around, we not descended from these people. Why is Judah? Why is like? Because you know what? Because they're not the only group of people who are like them. You know what I mean? Where
Yeah.
it's like a religious / ethnic group. There's a bunch of those different people around the world. I mean,
Yeah,
like
Hinduism is
they only got like an
perfect example.
elevated status because of Christianity and Islam being like religiously descended from their religion.
Yeah,
So like it's like if you don't really believe in the Bible and you believe it's all bullshit, they were just a bunch of Canaanite hill tribes that just formed a confederation. They ain't really got nothing to do with everybody else. It didn't make the
mhm.
Chinese do what the Chinese did. It didn't make what the Yoruba do what the Yoruba did. It ain't make what the Wanga do what the what y'all did or whatever. They didn't make what the Aztecs did what they did. They just another group of people that doing their own shit. But everybody's so focused on them. I just feel like they're just getting extra attention that it's not even really warranted. There are only like
Yeah,
14 million of them in the world. There's like twice as many Yoruba. There's like 3 times as much Hausa, and barely anybody knows who they are outside the continent. Ain't that shit
mhm.
crazy?
No, you're 100. Actually, most African religious groups, there's a sentiment that you have to be actually part of the ethnic group, right? If you look at Wakfina, right, from the Oromo culture, you have to convert and become an Oromo before you can actually participate in their cultures, right? You have to be part of the divine African spiritual system to be part of it, right? To participate properly, like, a regular. So, yeah, I think you're making good arguments there. But it makes sense, right? These people, as you said, are religious ancestors of Islam and Christians. Most humans are either Islamic or Christian, so
Yeah.
it touches their emotional heartstrings. So to make them care about this point, to me, I was gonna say, Ukraine Russia one that definitely impacts Africa. Very, very realistically speaking, we're talking about nuclear warfare because it's a worldwide event. Because it's really Russia versus NATO. Also, the food, right? Africa relies on Ukrainian and Russian wheat. So for us, and also Russia is a big trader with Africans, right? So I get it for a war like that, but this to me seems even less, more of a dusty war than even the Niger one. And the Niger one is very African centric, right? Pan Africans are the ones like talking about all the updates. That war doesn't even get time in UK media for more than 2 months for example. This you're gonna see this all for a whole year, perhaps longer. But anyways, we got a new panelist. What's good, Maxi? If your mic is working, you are free to add to the conversation from what you've heard so far. Mic is yours.
Yeah,
Over there.
thank you so much. Mine is not a submission, but it is a question. When the slave trade was abolished, the Americans, the American people, the American government resettled what we call in Liberia today Americo Liberians. They were not indigenous to Liberia, the country called Liberia. They were not indigenous. There were tribes called the Pele people, the Mandingos, the Crown people were Johnson, Samuel Kanyado, the late president of Liberia. There were other the Mano people in Liberia before they brought the Americo Liberia, where Charles Gangi Taylor, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the lady president of former lady president of Liberia, came from. That was a tribe. They called them the Americo Liberia. These were the slaves that were brought back to Africa, to Liberia. Now, my question is this. Before the Ottoman Empire and the Roman Empire that ruled the Jews in the past, who were the indigenous people that were residing in that particular country called Israel today, before the Roman Empire and the Ottoman Empire, which dominated that space, came from? Yeah. Were they Israelites?
Some of them were.
Were they the Jews?
See, that's the thing about the Canaanites. So, like, they ain't no like Jewish gene or anything like that, right? There are like Canaanites, and Canaanites have many different cultures. So it's like, I don't want to say the Yoruba and the Igbo are like the same people. Genetically, they are, but obviously they speak different languages and they have different cultures, right? So essentially, the people in Canaan are essentially the same people, but they have different cultures. So the Israelites were one culture of the Canaanites. Moabites were another culture of Canaanites. Phoenicians, who went and colonized the northern parts of Africa, were another set of Canaanites. Like they're all.
Brother, I apologize for interrupting you. Can you address the African American part in Liberia? Because many of these African Americans did have indigenous Liberian ancestry.
I don't think that is right. I know. The guy that's just interjected. I don't think that is right. You see, when I went, hold on a second, because I had.
James, please finish your point. Then we'll let Maxi and
yeah. My thing is like all those people were indigenous, and my thing is that I don't believe, and I don't see any archaeological record where a large migration of people who are not indigenous to the area came up into the area and replaced that Canaanite population. It just seems that they just switched cultures. So like what Kaiser was saying before, when it came to people in North Africa, for example, they will claim Arab ancestry with them essentially either being Berber or black, but just claiming Arab ancestry and practicing an Arabic culture. So these people are not literal Arabs. These people are still Canaanites. It's just that they rejected or switched up their culture from the ancient world. But they're still essentially the same people who have been there for millennia.
Okay, thank you so much. Because one of my brother who interjected was saying that some of the slaves that were brought in Liberia were originally from Liberia. No, I disagree with you. There were so many. Nobody knows where these people were taken from. If you look at the top man, the first president of Liberia, it was said that it is from the Igbo, origin. the Igbo origin. That is the top man. That was the first president of Liberia. And when they dropped them into Liberian territory, there were other indigenous people that were residing there before they brought them in. If there were indigenous people that were residing in this area before they brought these people and they took over the land, would you want to tell me that the indigenous, or what you call the aborigines, don't have the right to claim their land? That is my question. Because when you come to Liberia, you have the Pele people, you have the Crown people, you have the Kisi people, you have the Gio people, you have the Mana people also, then you have the Mandingos and the rest, the Kru and the Peles. Are we going to say because these people came in with civilization, take over the whole place, therefore the indigenous people must be erased from that particular place? That goes to my question. Before the Roman Empire,
Brother,
or the
please let me slow
Ottoman
you
came,
down, bro. DNA tests prove that African Americans have indigenous Liberian ancestry, bro. You cannot deny science. So let's move forward.
I have seen so many things like that because it is Willie Goldberg has traced her ancestry origin. Will Taker has traced his ancestral origin. This guy T.D. Jack has traced also his ancestry. The Haitian people. If you go back to Google, you will see majority. Some of the Haitian people has traced their ancestry to Igbo land in Nigeria. So these are some of the things. Most of these people, they were taken at random. And when you look at Ghana too and Nigeria, these were where most of these slaves were taken. So it
Bro,
doesn't
you're
mean,
not listening, brother. DNA tests prove that we have indigenous Liberian ancestry as African Americans, brother.
what I'm trying to tell you that before they brought them in, before they brought these people in, there were indigenous people that were there. That is what I'm
Exactly,
trying
and
to
we
say.
descend from them. We as African Americans, we descend from the indigenous Liberians, brother. It's reality. So let's move forward, King.
It is not just Liberians. It was not just the
I
Crown
agree.
people, the
I
Pele
agree.
people.
I agree.
Good. It was not. So there are so many of. In fact, when you look at the Liberian people, I do not know the population of the Liberian people, the indigenous people in Liberia when during the slave trade. But when you have the majority population of the black people were in the western side, when you talk of the Nigerian side, the Ghana side, and the rest of them, these were where most of these people were taken. And if you come to Ghana today,
I agree.
we have over 7. We have over 7 slave forts. We have
Yes. Do
here.
you understand that
Yeah.
African Americans are a mixture of African tribes as well as Europeans and indigenous Americans, etc.? So yes, we are descended from multiple groups of people, including the indigenous Liberians. Meaning that
That's
African Americans have ancestral land rights in Liberia. We were not wrong when we went to Liberia. We were not wrong at all.
Okay, just before let's bring in the new panelist. Good, Ribadu. Go ahead. The mic is yours. I don't know which part of the conversation you want to chime in from, but you can speak.
Okay. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. Good evening, my people and everyone in the platform. I've been here, I think,
Big
twice
up.
before.
How you doing, man?
It's been a long time. Fine, man. So, what is the topic of our discussion today? I came in.
Your microphone is quiet. Are you able to speak louder?
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
So, what is the topic of our discussion today?
We're talking about tribal politics. So we're saying, right now we have in Israel a situation whereby some countries have taken over some other people's land as accused, right? Israel took over Palestinian land. Then we also talk about tribal in African context. For example, when the American blacks went and colonized and took over the land of the indigenous Liberians. So we're just talking about, is it about power? Is it about truth and identity? Who was there first? Or is it about who can get away with it? So that's more or less the topic of the conversation.
And for clarity, African Americans are indigenous to Liberia. But go ahead, King.
Yeah, that is right. But that is the building block of our current generation now. But I think in this era, in this our current time, we have somehow uh, passed. We are beyond such sentiment. Rather, we only evoke them to legitimize our current claim, not because they matter any longer. And you see, I have a very deep analysis about this Gaza and the Hamas and the Palestinians. Yeah, everybody knows that the Israeli people um, has a they really has a historical attachment to that land, if both from biblical aspect and also the Quranic aspect. You know, we know, it is well known as a promised land to them by God. So, are you guys with me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes, we are. We are.
Yeah.
Go ahead. So, but you see, I think this very recent conflict that is happening, I think it has much to do with the world geopolitics and the new world order that is about to happen, or it's already happening on elementary stage. Because it's really surprised me, the courage, you know, courage and the sheer the magnitude of the attack by the Hamas. I don't think them alone are are capable of such attack unless if they have someone that is backing them. Okay. And before I proceed on this point, I also like to ask one question: who really benefits the most? You understand? Who really benefits the most on this attack? Because if you took into cognizance the uh the sophistication of Israeli defense, from their intelligence, human intelligence, and then electronic.
Yeah, I think your internet went off.
Oh my God. Okay. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Hello.
go ahead. Yes. So you want to say that Israel is benefiting from this because now they have a right to go and take over the rest of Palestine. So you think Mossad, the
So
Israeli defense system, allowed this to happen so that they have a reason to attack it? Go ahead. Is that what you think?
this is I'm thinking around that lines because now it's give them legitimate claim to brutalize, to harass, to use all sort of form of military might to eventually, push the Palestinian to the sea and take over Gaza in entirety. Because it's quite difficult for me to just believe that the Israeli intelligence failed to kind of see any form of sign of such attack happening. I cannot, because Israeli intelligence, they are at least among the best three in the world. So I don't think it's quite possible. I don't think this is a failure of intelligence or failure of imagination, because eventually they know no matter how hard the Gaza or the Hamas will attack them, they will not be able to inflict a lot of damage to them the way they will inflict damage to Hamas. Because if they just decided to take over Gaza, they will become like the oppressor in the eyes of the international community. But now they have a reason, they have legitimate reason to attack. That is one scenario. Okay. And then the second scenario is this. You see, there is a very big beef between China and India. Okay, and we have seen in last 3 weeks or so or 1 month,
Yes.
Yeah, keep it a little bit quick,
China.
Ribadu, so that the other panelists can come in. Max, go ahead next.
So you see, India is trying to deter China because China, Saudi Arabia, and Israel are trying to build a second, an alternate to Belt Road Initiative of China. So now China, Russia can also back Hamas, to bring conflict so that to
Yeah,
deter
1 second,
Saudi.
Ribadu. Let's come back to that second. So your main point has been heard. We'll come back to the secondary point that you just brought there about China, Russia, and Hamas. But yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead, Maxi.
Yeah, my brother. You see, there is something that baffles me when it comes to Israel and the Palestinian, territory. If you look at the Gaza Strip and you look at the West Bank, they are far away from each other. Israel, the nation Israel, is at the center of West Bank and the Gaza Strip. How on earth will anybody divide a country into two and place another country in between them? This is something that we have to. How can anybody look at a country? If you look at the map, you will see where West Bank is. You will see where Gaza Strip is. Israel is just at the center. Israel divide West Bank and Gaza. How will anybody, in the right sense of it all, feels that, my brother and my sister, if there is any sister here, and in the comment section, will have a country in between a country. West Bank is by the right hand side. Gaza Strip is by the left hand side. Israel cut across this country. How do you think that such a country will live in peace? I have been looking at that and I've been asking questions since the time I became a military officer, and I've been asking questions. How possible, Mr. Moderator, how visible, how peaceful can this arrangement be? Thank you.
Okay, that's a good question there. James, are you still there? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So Maxi, let me bring up the map that I brought up. I think I did a similar show 2 days ago, and the
Okay.
map is kind of interesting of the descent of, or more or less the losing of Palestine from 1948 all the way. Yeah, the map is up. Let me share my screen. What I do believe is this: is Israel does not recognize Palestine as a nation. So Israel only believes there's only Israel. So there is no Palestine in the mind of the Israeli government. So that's one reason. I understand it's wrong. So here's a map. As you can see, 1947, before the Arab-Israeli war, most of it is Palestine. The small white areas is the Jewish settlement. And then at the end of 1947, when the war had already begun, now more than half, 60%, is Israeli settlement. As you can see, this exactly is what you're saying here. How did the two nations separate in two? So it started all the way in 1947, and by 1950, right, you can see it's a clearly, the Gaza area, and then this side over there. Now there isn't even like a total landmass. There's three settlements of Palestinians. They're in the center, they're in the north, and then they're in Gaza. So it's I believe they're doing this to slowly get rid of them. Right, we know this. The Israeli government doesn't want there to be a Palestine, so it has purposely separated the settlements and forced them into areas where they will never be powerful enough. Because if you look at this, right, this is so-called Palestinian settlements rely on Israel for water, food, and power. They can't actually survive without Israel. So I believe that's why, so that they can't allow them to unify and then become a security threat to them. It is this is strategic, right? It's not by accident.
Damn, that's crazy. They choked them out from all sides. So they can't even really communicate with each other because they're so distant from each other. Because there's so much Israel in the way of a lot of them. So they couldn't even like gather and band together. That's
You
Yeah,
see,
they're
it, it,
divided. They,
and
my,
I
my
they
question goes back. My question goes back to this: Where where were the Israeli nation as at that time, the Jewish nation as at that time? Because I believe that Jews are indigenous to their own particular place. So where were they? Where were they? The space, the geographical zone of Israel, like I asked you before, the geographical zone of Israel, where were they? Because according to biblical history, Jacob has, is it, yeah, is it Jacob has 12 sons, of, the 12 sons, and, they make up, what is called Israel today, the 12 tribes of Israel. So where were they before all this demarcation? That is what I want historians to come and tell us. Did they just migrate or fall from sky and begin to occupy the lands that were for Palestinians? Or they were indigenous to a particular geographical zone before they were. So if you remember, you know, uh, uh, famine, hunger chased them all the way to Egypt. So if somebody leaves his or her land to a particular place in search of greener pastures and you never come there, other people will come and take over your place. Other people will occupy those places. This is the reason why I'm asking the fundamentals, the beginning. Where were they? Or were they created after the Palestinians has occupied these places? This is my question. I want to be clear on this before I speak on it. Thank you.
Yep. Exactly, exactly. And yeah, so James, as you see from what Maxi mentioned, and looking at the map, this was strategic. Like I meant, this was not just look at the carving up, right? So let's say look at 47 to, let's say, the end of 1967. You can see they're already kind of encroaching through that specific land area there. They're
right.
creating that separation between that. Then even then, as you can see, they're encroaching even within the so-called Palestinian areas. There's so many Israeli settlements as well inside it. So I, yeah, I think obviously I don't think this is a fact, right? The main thing is Israel does not recognize Palestine. Palestine is not a country according to Israel government. Palestinians are actually just Israelis who are third class. Well, who are there, right, within that landmass. So I yes, 100%. Now to answer your question, Maxi, I do believe that there are always settlements. As I think James's submission was probably the most accurate. These are all descendants of ancient um, Canaanites, right, and related peoples who then mixed with different people, right? You had some of the Jews who went into Europe. Some of them in the Germany, Polish areas are known as Ashkenaz. Um, that's a Germanic name actually. It's actually written in the Bible in Genesis 10 verse 10.
Is one of the sons of what's his name? Of
Gomer's,
Japheth.
yeah, Japhet, yeah, yes, specifically Gomer. So
Yes.
that's one of them, right? That's Germany. Germany is literally Ashkenaz in the Bible, and when they went to the German area, of course, they adopted the German name for their tribe. You have the Sephardic, right? From that, I don't know where the name comes from. To me, it sounds like.
I think it's the Hebrew word for Spain.
Oh, okay.
So it's
Well,
Sephardic
yeah, like
Spain.
Spanish.
Yeah.
That makes sense, right? Then you have the Mizrahi Jews, right, from Egypt area. You had the Arab Jews, right? You got the Yemeni Jews. You also have the so-called Beta Israel, etc., who claim they also came from that same landmass. So ultimately, all these people moved. They mixed with different kinds of people. So genetically, you're going to see a different admixtures from different areas. But they were here, just like the Arab Jews as well, right? Because the problem here is this, right? When a people becomes colonized, first of all, Islam, right? As a person mentioned, Islam is a new religion. So these people adopted Islam, but they've been there at the same time as the so-called as the Jews, and they just adopted a new religion. They
Mm-hmm.
became Christians, they became Muslims, and some of them, remain Judaic. So basically, what I'm seeing here is Israel is fighting against its own people who are just separated by a long time.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. This is just the same people fighting each other. There's no real substantive difference between them. They have the same genetic markers to the ancient populations from that area. Perhaps the main difference is ideology and ethnicity, right? That's it. But in terms of
Oh,
this
oh,
is
oh,
like,
oh,
yeah, go ahead.
oh, okay, bro. You see, the occupying force. I think if my memory serves me right, the occupying force was the Roman Empire. Then there comes the British Empire. You see, what I see here now is fight, between religion, two rival religions,
All right,
maybe
hang on.
three.
It was
The
before
Christ,
the Roman Empire, the Persian helped destroy the kingdom of Israel,
The
and then the
Persian,
Roman.
Medo-Persia, yeah,
and the Assyrian
Medo-Persian,
Empire.
Empire.
Yes, yes, yes.
If you go back to history, you will find out that there has been serious war, dominations, and so on in this particular area. If you look at, let's say, okay, let me bring it back to Nigeria today. The
Hey, even at one
British,
point, Egypt had control over Israel. Even at one,
exactly,
so this,
exactly.
yeah,
This thing creates a lot of problems, a lot of hate and discord. Then bring in religion in it. If you go to Nigeria, an individual brought in different nationalities in Nigeria and forced them to be one. Then when you come to 1914 amalgamation, before that amalgamation, these people were living as nations and tribes, and they control whatever that is in their own land. But when these people came and find out for economic or financial purposes or benefits, they tried to bring them together, lump them together, different nationalities with different cultures, different religions, and so on and so forth. They lump them together. What do you think that will happen in such a country that are not homogeneous? This is what I see that is going on in Israel today between the Palestinians and Israel. Israel, my people, I think it is time for us, the youths that have come out. For me, you see, I was a military officer. I don't like to shed blood of an innocent people, be it even my enemy. Any war that I fought, any war, I fought up to 5 to 6 wars. Any war that I fought, I observed the Geneva Convention. When I arrest you as a combatant or my enemy, I will just, once I immobilize you, I will now send you back in line with the Geneva Convention. You become a prisoner of war, POW. I would not like to kill anybody that I have overpowered. I will only send you to the back, then they will take care of you over there. And nothing, I assure you, nothing will happen to you because I am going to follow through. I respect human blood, especially when it has to come with male, children and women, the elderly. What is going on in this particular place is imposed on these people. I see the seed of hatred and discord that is brewing, that is, escalating this problem. And religion also come into being. One religions want to outpass each other. That is the problem that is going on there, and the territory also. See, I do not know how we are going to solve these problems. It is not from, by our own making. We are the young ones that have come out today to see all these things, and there are anomalies in this, margin up of different ethnic groups, different nationalities into one entity that seems not to be working. I don't think if there is a way anybody will merge, nationalities that are parallel in nature, in culture, in values, traditions, and in religion, and you expect such entity to work, my people. This is what we have to correct.
We, the young people that are coming up now, seeing the effect and the damages this thing is causing. Look at the amount. Look, if you are not a soldier, you will not understand what is going on. You will only see them, in videos. When you are present in it, like I was in 5 different of them or 6 of them, you will feel what I am feeling today. Look at what is happening in Israel on Saturday. Look at what is happening in Palestine today. My brother, it is horrible. It is horrible. How do we chart a new way forward in order that people might live together in peace, if at all peace will ever come in that geographical situation? My brother, you are shaking your head. I do not know how possible that will be. Thank you. This is just my opinion, bro. Thank you.
Okay, shout out to you, American First Rifleman. Are you there, or are you guarding the white man?
I'm guarding the white man's assets, really, not really the
You're
white man.
guarding his ass. Okay, makes sense. Makes sense.
No assets, you homo.
I see. I see. Yeah. Do you know a little bit about the situation right now? Obviously, as an American, you will
I know
support
plenty.
you support Israel, right?
No, my stupid government does, but
Okay.
I don't.
So who do you support? Do you support the terrorist group Hamas?
No, I don't support terrorist countries, or I don't support terrorist groups.
So
I don't
what's your
support either of them.
so you don't support either of them? But your government is
America
saying
first, sir.
America first means supporting Israel because that's your ally.
Well, no, that's Zionist. There's a lot of people that say they're like nationalists, or they're like, oh, we're like, I love my country. You should worry about America first. But then they're just like, send all our money to Ukraine and Israel. So no, that's not America first. Those are liars. Those are neocons.
I see. So you don't believe in neocolonialism. You don't want America to just keep building its empire abroad. You want to focus on American issues at home, not abroad.
Exactly.
No, this is good, right? So Maxi was mentioning that the youth need to change. You might be the change that America needs. Stop colonizing the other countries in the world. Focus on American issues, single baby mothers, and all those kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and immigration.
Otherwise,
Yeah, I agree. I agree with
yeah,
him. America
yeah,
needs
because
to stay out of everybody else's business.
No, you're right. And one thing I'll say is like, look, I just want America to stay out of it. But at this point, it's the story old as time. Just annihilate the people and get it over with. If you want to give them a civilian corridor to walk into the dang desert, because like none of the other countries want those people. Like we're not trying to get you into the weeds of the complexity, because people like to oversimplify this a lot or whatever. But I have a simple thing: just let the Israelis do what they want. They have the leverage, they have the prestige, they have everything. Just let them do what they want. And if Iran and the rest of the Muslim world wants to get involved, let them. I don't care. We don't need Israel. We like, there's nothing there that benefits America. The only thing that we get out of the deal is more debt and more Muslim hating us. And that's it.
that's an interesting point. So here's a thing, though, right? Let me ask you a question, right? This is for the panelists as well as the people in the chat. If you had to choose who to align with, the Arabs or the Jews, I actually think, despite the racism Israel has treated black people, I do not believe that the Palestinians would be better by any means
Oh no,
possible.
Yeah, there's videos.
they treat dark skinned Palestinians like crap.
Yeah, there's videos of Palestinians treating black people like shit. That's why I was saying before, I don't want to say it on your channel, but like I really don't care about the outcome of this. I mean, like if it ends in a very messed up way.
I want Iran to win. That's what I want to win. I want Iran to just take that place over.
Yeah, at least Iran says something about black people.
Well, actually, Iran's cool with black folks.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So you guys basically, culturally, you say, "Hey, yay, my favorite rifle could." Okay, shut out, man. You got fans out there.
I love what's so funny is people like to call me that name, but when the white supremacists and all the extremists and all the nasty people that have guns are coming to your neighborhood, AFR is actually going to be the guy fighting those people on your behalf. So I just look because like all you Negroes that run around here talking tough, like black nationalism, we got to do this. Like boots on the ground, doing the fight, whatever enemy. Who's gonna do? You don't know how to fight the enemy. I do. I know how to train you to get ready for the enemy. I know the mindset. I know all that. So keep calling me Rifle Coon. When stuff gets tough, when I said email me, get some information on how you can get a good assessment of your assessment of your situation, how you can make your family and yourself safe. Don't do it. And then when some system goes down, some grid goes down, or some group that doesn't like you politically is near you in your town, just remember AFR warns you.
No, you right, bro. Yo, don't get caught up in that coon shit, man. That word don't mean nothing. It's overplayed. It don't mean nothing no more. It's
I
overplayed.
know, I know. They just get triggered when you don't condemn white people like the way they want you to condemn. Well, not to get too far out of league here, Kaizo, but it's just we just so wrapped up in this hatred stuff. That's why the Palestinians are where they're at today. Is because their blind hatred and their anti intellectualism. That's where that stuff got them. They just wanted to blindly hate, and that's where it got them in their situation right now, asking, begging for handouts from every Muslim that cares. That's where they at right now. They're beggar status. They're literally going to be genocided because they didn't want to take the high road and be smarter. Anyway, not to go off because I this is a passionate subject for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, look. They were offered
Kaiser.
the two-state solution several times, and they didn't take it because they believed in the armed struggle and believing in things. Right? I've seen like wangers being called coons because they worked for the British. If you see someone that's coming in that's much more powerful than you, what are you gonna do? Fight to death? Sure, that's what you want, but you can't complain about it afterwards.
You see, me and
Right? You
Kaiser.
gotta make a decision. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Kaiser. To me, I can't support Israel. When we don't support Israel a little bit, it's because what the Muslim and Christian being killed a lot in Nigeria. So that's why I can't support them a little bit. The Israel a little bit because
Oh,
Muslim.
Christians in Nigeria being killed. Yeah.
Yeah, you
So I
see,
yeah.
you see,
I
that's
see
the
your
point.
point. So you're a tribalist. You believe in the Christian tribe, and
No,
the Muslim tribes in Nigeria are doing bad things to the Christians. So I get it, right? For safety and sort of control and power. You just don't
to
trust
me,
the way that Muslims would rule over other people. I get the sentiment.
you mean, Kaiser, do you agree I think, Kaiser, you agree that you think the Igbo and Israel are kind of like brothers? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, yeah. I've heard that there's Igbos are the original Jews.
Yeah, you know I say that because the Igbos and Israel are facing the same thing. Do you know the genocide happened in Nigeria? They killed many Igbos, similar to what happened in Israel. So the similarity between the Igbo, they face the same struggle.
Hmm.
Well, the
Yeah,
Igbos, the original Jews. Why did they move back to Israel, man?
Well, you know what's funny? Like my thing about that whole thing is, you realize that they don't even like the Ethiopians like that.
They
So
don't.
they damn sure ain't gonna mess with them. They damn sure ain't gonna mess with the Igbos or Igboos like that at all. So
They
that's
wanted that
like
oil that's all up
hilarious.
in Igbo land. That's what that shit is.
Community in
Pretty
Africa
much.
that they know in tradition that they are Hebrews, that they are from child of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. They know it for sure. You have communities that are running services and prayers by the halakha, keeping Shabbat and eating kosher. They know their roots. Like you can't argue with them. They're stronger than you. They will tell you who they are. They're not. They don't ask you
They
even.
gonna be the
And they
first
have
to
the
invest.
Bible and it's all written over there, and they don't have no problems in life. Except of that we're not able to accept them, to recognize the godliness of the holy tribes that is treasured inside them, their soul.
Oh wait, Kaiser, do you know Azira in the Bible?
yes, yes.
It's similar in Igbo word. That's so
Ah,
strange.
see? Yeah, it makes sense. You guys are the Hebrew Israelites, so that's why it's called Igbo. Even it sounds like Hebrew, Ibaru. Because if you look at the root word for Hebrew, is Hebrew, which is Igbo. It makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, but to me, I think this war between Israel and Palestine need to stop because it's sad. It needs to stop before causing another World War III.
It's not gonna be World War III, man.
I know, but I think America should not get involved. If when the United States start getting involved, you make disaster. Just leave it be. Cause not one is one United States. Don't go there. Worship one America. Don't go and worship there.
I don't think America's going to get involved like directly. They're just going to send just military stuff and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to do like what they did in Ukraine. We're not going to do that. If we do, it'll be very stupid for America to get involved in this.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that may. Well, at first, I thought that because they're going to give logistics and intelligence support off the rip, so that's going to happen. So they're supporting them regardless. It's just to the degree. So right now, because of the situation where I think they said they're up to between 9 and 20 dead and captured Americans at this point, and because of that Hamas's action. So they've already flew in. Hold on. Let me finish, sir, and I'll let you talk. Sorry. So because of the dead and killed Americans, they've flown in about 1 or 2 special forces groups, I think Green Berets, from Jordan and like another country, and they're flying them in. They're already in Tel Aviv or near Gaza or something like that. So they might start going in with the IDF just to maybe do low level, or not low level, but like high value target type stuff, or try to go after our hostages. But if they involve themselves with anything more than that, huge escalation. Also, too, Hezbollah has already seems like they've gotten involved, so things are very tense. So I'm very doubtful that America's gonna do anything crazy. I think they're gonna tread very lightly.
Yeah, go ahead, Maxi. You can you can respond.
No, I was just trying to tell my brother that spoke last that it is confirmed now. I think as at 4 hours ago, 14 Americans, is now known to be dead in that fight, and some are kidnapped. They have not seen them yet. This issue is something that you see for me. In Ghana here, we say monkeys play by sizes. What brought about this attacks that is going on today and the loss of lives? If you have never been in the war front, you will not understand what I'm saying. If you have been in the war front at that red zone, when you see dead bodies littered all over the places with bombs, trajectors, you see surface-to-surface bombs, missiles, you see high caliber TNT, 500 kg, 1,000, 2,000 and thereabout, dumped in a particular place. You will feel what I am feeling today. This attack came as a result of the terrorist invasion in those places. And if you look at what happened, if this attack did not come from Hamas, I don't think Israel will be would justify the invasion that is going on. And in the DNA of the IDF and the Israeli government, you cannot kill one person in an unprovoked attack and expect the government of Israel to hug you or give you a handshake for killing one person. Definitely that they are going to come after you. If I were the Palestinians or the Hamas, I wouldn't have engaged or attempt. I would still continue with the international diplomacy that is going on.
Where has that gotten Palestine? International diplomacy.
You are laughing when I try to give you just few numbers of Americans that died. You say hold on. Now you are interacting me. You see, Do unto others what you want others to do to you.
I'm sorry. I apologize, sir. Actually, I apologize, but you are making a kind of
That's
a
okay.
weird point. I was interjecting, sir. So continue. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay, bro. That's okay. We are robbing minds. We are not enemies. We are robbing minds. So you can
Mhm.
interject me anytime, bro. So I have no problem with that. You see, so this is the problem. You see, no matter how it is better than to judge than to war. Because when you look at the effects of war as we see today, Israel is going to come after these people with everything that they've got. And they don't care if you use human shields. If you are going to use a human shield in order to kill me, the principle of war is that I have to protect my first. And the principle is that I have to eliminate you first, even if you are using human shield. In a war like this, innocent people will always die. And innocent people will continue to die in a war like this. That is what I've seen. You will not rule out innocent people dying. And many of them are dying today that did not know anything about the terrorist attack against, Israel by the Hamas. So these are some
Noted.
of the things.
They're
Yeah,
not even
thank you.
connected, right? They're not even connected. If you look at what you're saying makes a lot of sense. Look at the map of Israel right now, and you see there's Palestine on the West Bank, and then the Gaza. These niggas can't even effectively communicate. So you're 100% right, right?
At all, my brother. It's very, very pathetic. At all.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's interesting, but yeah, Israel has to send a big bad. Hey, you have to let the Palestinians know that this can't happen ever again because
Kaiser.
yeah, what
Kaiser,
happened?
Kaiser, Kaiser. You see, why is it that when Israel government carry out mass killing, people don't say a word? Like earlier this year, if you follow the Palestinian Israel issue, there were almost about 200 deaths this year in the hands of the Israel government. So you think, listen, I fully in support of the Hamas or whatever, the Palestinian people. They have the right to fight back. You understand me? Outside that cannot come over your country, take over the land, and treat you like a piece of shit. They have the right to defend themselves and fight to recover their lands. You understand me? Let's be sincere here. Those people, they are the original owners of that land.
Yeah.
They deserve the same rights with the Israelis.
Yeah, but you'll see, fan, they don't have any power or allies to help them win that back. So, if you really want
Let
to
me
be
tell you something.
honest,
The
it
reason,
really
let,
it's
let me tell
not
you
it's not
something.
their land because
America
they're about to
Rifleman,
be
see,
genocided again.
America Rifleman. The reason why Israel is behaving like this is because of America. Because they know they have the
Of
backing of
course,
the US.
yes, I
If not
know.
for America, this won't happen. They would think twice. It is you guys that is funding these people.
Yeah, I
If not,
know.
they would do this.
And I
But
wish we would stop supporting them, but unfortunately, like I said
but
earlier, my government supports them. I do not.
Because
So, and that's how it
if you
is.
look at it right now, the world leaders, they are quiet, they are afraid to criticize the Israel government. Just look at the way they don't care if they kill it. I think I read online just now. I think they killed 9 UN staff in Gaza there because they just bomb everywhere. They didn't care
but
whoever is
but you
living in those
but
buildings. They
you
just
Okay,
you
but
they just
listen.
light it
Look,
up.
they've chose armed resistance instead of any diplomatic things. Now, I'm not saying now this is not me going any pro-Israel area because I'm not. I'm not pro-Israel. I do not like them. I kind of despise the Israeli government actually. But it is what it is. Like the Israeli people, they build hospitals, they build weapons, they build financial instruments, even though, yes, they do depend on American hegemony to get along, but they do have people that produce and are known for doing good things. Like, I'm sorry, if a Jew built a hospital and a Muslim built a hospital, I'm going in the Jewish hospital. Okay?
Uh, America reformer.
Where
But
are
did you get,
Muslims? Where are Palestinians and Muslims building hospitals and scientific institutes around the world?
but do you see the information whereby they said Egypt alerted the Israeli government that there's something going on, that there will be an attack, but they didn't respond. They didn't do anything about it. Don't you think it is BB playing a political game here? You know, it's not popular currently, so he wanted this war so that it would gain popularity back. Don't you think something like that is
Oh,
playing
no,
here?
I agree. No, listen. I think you're not understanding the UFC. Like, I agree with you. You are right on that fact. But Palestine, fundamentally, as of right now, has no actual path to winning back their land. Like, yes,
Yes, I know, I know.
I sympathize. Hold on. I sympathize real quick. Like, seriously, I sympathize with a Palestinian that was maybe like 20, 30, 10, 5, whatever years ago, was kicked out of his house or neighborhood, and he sees some Polish, Bulgarian, Russian, American, some white person living in there. Like, I get it, and they see blood. I get it. They have a right to their armed struggle, but unfortunately, they lost, and they're not going to win.
I, to me, I
I
think
agree. I agree because they don't have
you,
the capacity to do that because they don't
you,
have the backing also. So
I get what you're saying, but I think the reason, I think the reason why Israel is doing that, because Israel is basically the only Jew and Christian country in the whole Middle East. So Israel, if you pop that defense, it's the only Christian and Jew country in the Middle East. They're the only place in the Middle
but
East that's.
hold on.
Well, it's an ethno state.
This,
That's the reason why they're so united. They're an ethno state. They don't care about religion as much as they care about Jewish people having the right of return. That's why they're so strong. If you claim, you don't even have to be ethnically Jewish. Just be like, I'm Jewish, and then integrate into their system. You're good. So they're able to get people from all over the world that can bolster their ranks. So they did it the right way, and Palestine did not.
Do you think it runs behind this? People think it runs behind. Do you agree with that? I don't know.
If I don't steal it,
You
Oh no, they
are
let it
stealing
happen.
my house.
and if I don't steal it, someone else is gonna steal it.
No one is allowed to steal it, يا عمي.
just imagine.
Jacob, you know this is not your house.
Yes, but if I go, you don't go back. So what's the problem? What are you yelling at me? I didn't do this. I didn't do this.
But
It's easy to yell at me, but I didn't do this.
you are stealing my house.
Wow, that's sad.
Yeah, he can't. You can hear it. He came from freaking Brooklyn last week. But guess what? They had, like, the Palestinians didn't coordinate with other Arabs. Like, they literally at every turn they made their leaders made the wrong decisions, and that's where they are today. I don't know why people are so sad. Like, this is like new. Like, oh my God, how can Israel do this? Or how are they so, like, we need, Palestinian freedom? Like, dude, it's over. They don't have any allies. Nobody really cares. It's over. And they're better off appealing to a country, a Muslim country that likes them enough to take them in. That's their only recourse. They're done.
To me, I think the Palestinians, they should probably work with like United Emirates. They shouldn't work with Iran. They should work with those other Middle Eastern countries, not Iran, in my opinion.
Iran wants to use them as a cudgel against Israel. They don't. Iran is totally fine with them not going to their country.
Yeah.
So, and then that's the reality. That's the political reality. Like, they say, oh, we stand with Palestine and let's kill the Jews and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, they want to do it where it's the least amount of blood and treasure they have to invest. So they will definitely give money, weapons, and training to as many Palestinians that want it, so they can hurt Israel. And that is what it is.
But it's crazy. Two major wars going on.
Chase.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you? It's been a while. You see, this era we are now, this is 21st century, a year of technology, advanced armaments, and military hardwares. This is 21st century. This is not the time of biblical David and Goliath. We are no longer in those era. We are in, the era of high tech, everything. If you are not capable of finishing a war, do not start it. If you want to avoid a fight, stop pointing fingers. Like I said before, if you look at the map of Israel and you look at where Gaza Strip is and West Bank, my brother, there is no country that will be that and be in peace. If you look at Senegambia and Lesotho in South Africa, look at how they are. And these people are homogeneous both in culture and in religion. But when you have conflicting religion and the doctrine of hate and the seed of discord that has been sowed from generations to generations, it is only going to be a matter of time. The bigger brother will always win. You see, this is the reason why I said that it is going to be difficult for the Palestinians to win this war against Israel, in as much as they have played into the hands of the IDF and Israeli government by attacking them first, irrespective of what happened in the past. This is war. It's a full-out war right now as we speak.
Mercy,
Yes,
please. I would like to respond to you. Let's follow your logic. So Israel is more powerful than Palestine, but when it comes to Nigeria issue, some of you in your region where you came from, you support the people that is causing mayhem. Some of those people, they cannot defeat the Nigeria government, but some of you live outside the country and found the flame of violence and chaos in the country. But right now you are here saying the Israelis are the bigger boss, that the Palestinians, they should just watch and allow their country, allow Israeli deal with them and surrender. That's what you are trying to say here.
Can I, in as much as you mentioned my name, there are some certain things I need to put, straight to you.
Yes.
Yeah, it's as if you don't understand what is going on.
I know what is going on, but I'm just
hold on. You asked me a question, I am explaining to you. Do not interject, my brother, because we cannot have a civil discourse when you continue to. I kept quiet when you are, narrating your own, story. Just if you can just, hold your thoughts. Let me answer you the way I listened. Okay, thank you very much, my brother. When you look at the southeast, I am from Ghana. My mother is a Biafran from the Igbo tribe. This is where I'm going to answer you this question today.
Yep.
Ojukwu, during the war, when you look at what happened in Nigeria, I do not know if you are conversant or abreast with what happened. Even 1950s to 1960s until today in Nigeria, in the history. Most of you, the young, I do not know how old you are. The reason why they remove history in Nigerian curriculum is not to allow you to know what happened. Early 50s, 40s, 50s till today. What you see today is what you read on books, depending on where you stand and who is writing it. I've been to the military and I know what I'm telling you. I do not come here to embellish, nonsense. No. Like I started here, I told you that as a former military, personnel,
I don't derive joy in the killing or death of anybody, including my enemy. When you come back to where you are going to right now,
I do.
the Biafran people, they came here when that thing was smoldering in Nigeria. The political upheaval that was going on in Nigeria at that time, the killings of people from the southeastern part of Nigeria, in the north, just like when the time they killed Hassan Qasim in Iran, people of the southeastern origin and the rest of them, especially in the south, were senselessly pied in the north because of one man, America, Barack Obama, pied in Iran. That is what is going on. And these are the things that, if such things is happening to you, do you want me to belong in such a country? Hold on.
If you
Brother, let me finish. Now, I am about to finish. I cannot hold on because I kept quiet when you said all the things that you said. You accuse me. You accuse me of supporting what is going on. I am not telling you they are not of the same narrative. These people are rejected and they say they want to leave.
If you say
when they came to Ghana, they came to Ghana here, they signed an agreement. They came to Ghana here, they signed an agreement of the former General Ankara of blessed memory. And they agreed on something. The way forward for that country, you call Nigeria, you said that I'm supporting, I am fanning the embers of war in that place. They came to Ghana in Eburi, eastern region of Ghana, under late General Ankara of blessed memory, presided over that peace accord. What happened when they got to Nigeria? What happened when they got to Nigeria? And how did the people of the southeast that you claim that I'm supporting today came out to say that they want to leave? What happened to them? You see, you people, when you come out, you begin to say things the way it suits you people. I'm not here to, to embellish evil or support evil.
You can't be supporting the injustice that has been met to the Palestinian, and same time you are fighting against injustice in Nigeria. As you are here now, you should stay behind the oppressed, not the oppressor, because you are supporting the oppressor currently. That's what you are doing. You are supporting the oppressor.
I don't know whether I am coming out loud or not. I don't know. But
yes, I say you are supporting the oppressor. You can't be fighting against injustice and be supporting someone that is oppressing the smaller guy.
If you really understand what I'm trying to say, I don't know whether I'm coming out loud.
I understand what you are trying to say, sir. But
what I'm trying to tell you, you keep on interjecting. Before I had a call here. You keep on interjecting. The reason why I am speaking the way I am speaking is this. The people said, look, let me tell you. When they amalgamated Nigeria, who were you? Who were you when they amalgamated Nigeria? Don't you have nations? Is it not a shame to you that comes out here to speak the way you are speaking, that a foreigner came and gave you name and you answer that name till today, and that name is not working for you? Is it not a shame to you that you come and foreigner gave you name? A man and a girlfriend from the other room gave you name, which you answer today. Are you not behaving? Is Nigeria not behaving like the name they gave them? Is Nigeria not behaving like the name they gave you? Which country is that? Tell me any country in the world today that was given name by a foreigner that is not indigenous to the people. Tell me. Don't come here to accuse me. I will not hold on, because you just painted a very false narrative. The people that are fighting for their freedom, did they carry arms to fight for their freedom? They did not carry arms to. You started killing them. You started killing them. You, the one Nigerian, started killing them when they said they want out. What stops you from giving them referendum or dialogue? What stops you from giving them struggle?
most of you
What is
speak
the
from
wrong
both
with
of
you
your
people?
mouth
Are
because
you benefiting
the
from what is going? I
Palestinian,
do not know the particular place you come
because the
from, but
Palestinian
what I'm trying to tell
Muslims,
you
they are
here
not
is
human
this:
beings.
you
They
people
should
are
be killed.
embellishing
They
evil,
should
and you
be killed
support evil.
and
You
destroyed.
support the subjugation of the other people. What the Palestinians are fighting against, with the Israel, is different from what the Biafrans and Oduduwas are asking for. They are not asking for war. They are asking for referendum or dialogue. Didn't they ask you to restructure Nigeria? Did you restructure Nigeria? If you restructure Nigeria, do you think
Massive,
that people like Mazen
massive.
Namdekan will come out, or Sunday
I've
Boho will come out,
listen,
or what is happening in that area now is
those are
happening?
listen, the
What are
people
you
you just
telling me?
mentioned, the people you just mentioned, those are not leaders. If you are serious about this thing, tell your leaders to tender a motion in their House of
You are not
Assembly.
serious to say that.
You
Look,
guys
let
are
me
not
tell you.
serious.
You
Tell them
see,
to tender a motion.
there
Tell
is
them to
nobody that
tender
is
a
going to
motion.
tender. Look, let me
Okay.
tell you. When Buhari entered that seat, what did he promise you? Didn't he promise you restructuring of Nigeria? When he entered there, what happened? He told you that he cannot restructure Nigeria, that you people should know what to do. And it is said, if you look, before you pass a bill to restructure Nigeria, you must have 2/3 of the National Assembly. How many of them, let's say the entire southern Nigeria, vote for referendum? Are they up to 2/3? Are they up to 2/3? How do you think? It's just like telling an elephant to pass into the eyes of the needle. You are telling me here, don't you know how your country is structured with the 1999 Constitution? The army
So
gave to you
the reason
people?
why I decided to respond to you, because you can't be supporting Israel and same time and you are fighting against Nigeria
The
government.
narratives
That
are
is your
different,
logic.
my brother. The narratives are different.
They are
The
not. They are not.
narratives
They are
are
not
they
different.
are very, very different, my brother. You go and
Yeah,
check. What are
yeah.
the Biafrans
I
asking
guess
for?
it.
What are the Biafrans
Let
asking
me
for?
tell you something. If the
Is a
Palestinian were Christian, you would have supported the Palestinian. I believe that, because anything Muslim, you guys don't. Some of you see
I
them
don't
as animals.
segregate because I have a
Okay.
lot of
Okay.
Muslim friends.
It's
Let me tell you
okay.
one thing.
Okay.
I am
I
not
get
a
it.
bigot. I don't
Okay.
stereotype. I don't
But all
stereotype.
of a sudden,
You
you are
what
supporting
I'm
the
trying to
oppressor.
say
You
to
are
you
supporting
today
the
is
oppressor.
this. You said
Yeah.
right now that we should talk to our leaders, and you rightfully know as a Nigerian that before you pass a bill to restructure Nigeria, you must have 2/3 of your legislators. Even if you add up all your southern legislators, are they up to 2/3? Are they? Do you think that those that are benefiting from this criminal status quo in Nigeria will allow you to restructure Nigeria, that regions will take over what they have and harness it and make life meaningful for their own people and pay a certain percentage to the central government? Do you know that over 36 items are within the exclusive list in the federal? Do you know that federal government controls every resources from the 1978 Constitution? Do you know that?
Okay.
What are you here talking about?
Mans,
If the
can I
people
ask?
say they want to
Mans,
leave, do you want to tell me that even the Oduduwas and the Yoruba and
hold on.
the Biafrans that are asking for freedom, that in a very civil way, will do what they are doing if Nigeria is working well for them? Oh, my
Mans,
brother, don't come here and say this.
have you ever asked yourself this question? Why the South don't want to be part of the Biafra movement? Have you ever asked yourself?
Look, yes, I asked myself. I have got answers, and I have the pulse. I have the pulse of different. That is why I said, if you listen to me when I spoke in a particular, I think in one man show or so, this same place, I think 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, when this same issue is, I don't know whether it's here or in the X space. I said, look at me, hear me now. Let me put my camera so that you can see me, because I'm not someone that can hide behind, that can off my camera and speak. Let me speak to you today. If possible, I would have asked, in my own opinion, I would have asked Mazen Nnamdi Kanu to go with the 5 eastern states. That is because the people, when the Igbo people are speaking of freedom, you tell them that it's because of your oil. It's because of the oil in Niger Delta that Igbos want to rule, that Igbos want to take over the Niger Delta. That is palpable falsehood.
Okay,
That is
I agree.
falsehood from people. If you look at today, there is an investigation. There is, something that has come up. Oguta Lake in Imo State has over 200 trillion cubic of natural gas in it.
Okay.
That is what it is. And if you look, Abia State, where my mother comes from, is also a Niger Delta. So when you are saying this thing that you are saying, my brother, it doesn't make no sense. You can just go to the Marines and speak to the Marines about that. I'm not interested in that. You have seen my face, and you can go also whatever you want. If you are very, very good enough to speak, then you can put up your face and speak the way I'm speaking.
Why should I do that?
Okay, because you know it is only a coward that can hide behind the camera and begin to speak.
Listen, come on, sir. Do you think you are talking to a kid here? You think I
don't know because what you are saying here looks as if you are a kid. Because if you are not a kid, you will not accuse Biafrans for fighting the way they are fighting, and you cannot accuse the Oduduwa nation for fighting the way they are fighting. My brother. I am well traveled and I've seen nations and I've seen so many nations. I would have suggested instead of going with the South, in fact, even the Igbo people does not even know they don't even need the support of the South. They held Nigeria for 3 years and they provide what they provide to facilitate this, the Biafran war. You did not support them, and they held it for 3 years. What makes you think that they are going to depend in your oil or South? Please.
Charity begins at home. Stop doing this thing. You can't be supporting oppressor and fighting against oppressor in your own country. It doesn't make sense. You have to pick a side and stick by it instead of jumping from one place to another.
That is not what I'm saying here, my brother. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this: if Nigeria is working for everybody in Nigeria, there will be no need for anybody to say, I want out. And remember, it is not just the Biafran people that wants out. The Oduduwas wants out as well.
Mansi, have you torn your Nigeria passport? Have you burned it or throw it away?
What am I going to do with your Nigerian passport?
Good. If you have done that, then I'm proud of you. Throw it away. You don't need it.
How many times do you want me? How many times do you want me to repeat this to you? How many times? Is it the first time that you have seen me talking the way I talk?
But see,
from the way I talk, don't you know that I am not like you, who is a born Nigerian? Don't you know that? Don't you know that? Why are you asking me your passport? Which passport are you using? Is it the one Seychelles has banned? You are proud of carrying a passport that Seychelles, ordinary Seychelles, that is not even up to 200,000 people, has even banned your passport.
Don't go there. If you go there, I will give you the reason. Hold on, sir.
And as we speak today, you see, anytime you come in, you make people to deviate from the point of discussion. Please, Kaiser, let's go back to what we are discussing. We are not discussing about Nigeria. Please tell this guy, go back to what we are discussing. We are not discussing about Nigeria. We are discussing about Israel. Tell this guy. Kaiser, tell this guy. I hope you are listening to me. Moderate this guy. We are not talking about Nigeria. We are not talking about Biafra. We are not talking about Oduduwa or what makes people to support who they. We are talking about the Israel and the Palestinian. Don't come and deviate us, because anytime when you come here, you begin to talk the way you talk. You paint your narrative the way it suits you. If it doesn't suit you, then you will change the narrative. People that like to embellish evil and support evil.
That's what you are doing here. You are supporting the oppressor. That's what you are doing.
If you were here in the beginning, I do not know when you joined this program anyway. If you were here in the beginning, I asked, who are the indigenous people? Before so many, colonial, let me say, powers came into Israel, who were the indigenous people in that place? Who were the indigenous people? Is it the Palestinians that were indigenous, the aborigine of that particular geographical zone, or the Israelis? These were the questions I asked first. And somebody answered, the Canaanites, and there were Jews in it. Why did the Jews leave that place to Europe? These are things that you don't even understand. You don't even know what you are talking about. You just come here to just, make your presence known. Kaiser, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you very much.
Kaizo, did you see I is mentioning why they banned Nigeria passport? I would say it. Fuck it. It is because of some of our people. You know what happened? Nigeria, in a week, they bust Nigerians with drugs. I think more than 10 Nigerians in a week. That's how they place ban on Nigeria. It's not because of the Nigerian government, it's because of Nigerians. And some of these people, they were Igbo. So don't come here and tell me.
Do you think you are a one Nigerian? You say some of them are Igbos. Is Hush Puppy an Igbo man?
Most of them.
The one that were peddling drugs from the prison in Nigeria. Wait. The one that were peddling drugs from the prison of Nigeria. Was it an Igbo person? What are you trying to tell me? The one that were in the prisons of Nigeria peddling drugs. Was it an Igbo person? Look, let me tell you one thing. See, your president, your current president, was he not convicted of drug peddling in the Chicago? In the US? Did he not pay? Wait. Did he not pay $460,000? Yeah, you brought Igbo people. That is why I'm responding to you, and I will respond to you equivocally. You did. Let me tell you, your president did he not pay $460,000 in the US in order not to go to prison? What are you telling me here? You voted a president that is corrupt, a president that's involved in drug peddling, and you come here, you want to stereotype Igbos. What is wrong with you?
I'm not part of this propaganda bullshit you guys are doing online. You are not going to push me to that level.
Tell the world if Tinubu did not pay $460,000 in the US.
Let me ask.
Was he not prosecuted? Was he not investigated?
If you have brain, you will
was he not prosecuted and investigated in the US? I don't know your name. I could have called your name. Was he not prosecuted in the US?
No,
did he not pay? Did he not pay $460,000?
He was not, sir.
Did he not? Why did he pay $460,000?
When you are caught with drug in America, they send you to jail.
Why did he pay $460,000? Didn't you hear? Didn't you hear what Kiyamo said? Didn't you hear what Kiyamo said? Didn't you hear what Kiyamo said? Kiyamo said that they charge the account, and the account that bears the name of your president. They did not charge their president, the owner of the account. It was the account they charged. How can you charge an account without the owner of the account? Did he or not pay $460,000?
You are a Ghanaian. Your country currently is totally.
But you know that I'm a Ghanaian, and you are asking me which passport am I using?
Focus on Ghana with your ugly face.
See how you are contradicting yourself.
Ugly face, sir.
Because you are trying to whip up sentiments now because some people like you are in this platform that will follow you to say what you are saying. My brother, I am not the man that can be cowed. What I'm trying to tell you is this: do not call Igbos. Do not single-handedly call Igbos, because if you call Igbos where I am, I will come after you.
Because you did the same thing.
Because I cannot come out and call your own tribe. There are criminals in your own tribe. Because one person in your tribe committed a crime, then the whole of your tribe has become criminals. That is what I will not accept from you. You are behaving like a bigot.
an ethnic bigot. Because do you want to tell
Yes,
me that your people,
you
your
guys are
own
good.
people, do you
You
no, hold on,
you
my
guys
brother,
are
because you
good
call
in
Igbos.
blackmailing.
You
I'm not gonna.
single-handedly call Igbos, and that is what I'm telling you. Do you
Yes,
want to
because I
tell me
warn you. I
because
said
a
don't say what you
criminal,
are saying.
somebody
Don't say
is
it
a
is
thief
Nigerian
in your
government.
own
We know
tribe,
the reason.
and the whole
Because
of your tribe will be
I
called criminals? Is that what you are telling me?
hold on,
I
sir. I
cannot
know the
hold on.
reason why
I can't.
Nigeria was
Do you
banned.
want to
So
tell me that because one
you brought
person,
it
you are
upon
from South
yourself.
South,
You
one
brought it
person
upon
in South
yourself.
South was caught with
You brought
something,
it
then the
upon
whole of
yourself.
South South
You
are
brought it
criminals? Is
upon
that what you are trying to tell us here today?
You brought it upon yourself, sir.
I did not
You
brought anything upon myself.
yes,
You
you
are the
did.
one that
Because
deviated. You started asking questions,
hold
irrelevant
on,
questions
sir.
outside
You
the
did. You
topic
said
that is on
Nigeria
the
is banned.
table.
Hold
You are
on.
the one
You
that
said
brought it. You
Nigeria
are
is
the one that
banned
called
in
Igbos.
social,
I
but you
was
don't.
making my submission on the problem of
Okay.
Israel and the Palestinians. Then you brought me and begin to accuse me, attack me directly. What right do you have to attack me?
Yes, I
Why
did
can't you
that
speak to the
because
topic on
you
the
are
table?
supporting
Then you started attacking me. That is how you
hold on, you
Nigerians
are
behave.
supporting
Some of
injustice.
you,
You are
some of you
supporting
in Nigeria, that is
injustice.
how you behave. We
You are
will see the
supporting
truth and you cover
injustice,
it.
sir.
My brother, I am
You
not that kind of person that you can cow. Okay? You cannot cow me. I cannot say because one of your own person is a criminal, then the whole of your tribe are criminals. I don't do that.
you guys give Nigeria more bad name than any other tribe in Nigeria. And you know it. Kezo, are you there? People will come here and say, we are against injustice, and now you are supporting Israel. You want them to condemn Palestinians to death. This mindset is the reason why most minority tribes who are closer to you guys don't want to associate themselves with Biafra, because you only care about yourself. You don't care about other minority tribe who live closer to you. No, no, I'm still here, Mr. Ike. You see, these guys, they don't stay in one place. They move the goalposts all the time. They move the goalposts. You can't say you are against injustice and be supporting injustice. I will come here and challenge you. I won't allow you to do that here. If you say you are against injustice, anywhere you see injustice, you should fight against it. It doesn't mean if they are Muslim or Christian or Hindu or whatever. You should be fighting against injustice everywhere. Instead of now you want to support Israel, then Israel should just burn down the whole Palestinian. Yeah. Now these people, any small thing, they will cry foul. He came here and said Nigeria were banned in this thing. He didn't give you the full details why Nigeria were banned. It's not because of the Nigerian government. It was because of Nigerians. There will be a day here where we need to call out Nigerians for doing some of the craziest things to the country. You see, most of our people like Mr. Ike, who run legitimate business, they won't promote them. They always promote the thief and reward the armed robbers. People like Ike will be ignored and abandoned. People who have idea, people who know how to build business. Indigenous argument get bad when people involved in. but have already been intermixed. Yeah. Yes, cases. Cases sleeping. Indigenous agreement also cares for the indigenous people are subject to the environment in its foreign. Case, are you there? Israeli versus Palestinian indigenous people. Kafir versus Nigerian who strike first blood. Okay. Communities. Yeah. Kezu, are you there? It's like everyone is gone or Kezu is sleeping. I don't know. Kezu, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Good night.